What is up, boys? Back out here. Going to start working on the VR4 again. I gotta move some cars around, obviously. I need the VR4 back on the lift. I think I'm gonna try to put it in reverse. I honestly would never do that if the weight of the engine was in there. But it's got like 3/4 of a tank of fuel. But I'm also gonna be taking out the rear subframe, which is a lot of weight. So I'm gonna put it in reverse. There should still be more weight on this front. I think I'm gonna be all right. I was talking to Adrian about it. I actually might put some like ratchet straps around the arms too, so it doesn't want to tip. Cause you always want the engine on these front arms because they're a lot shorter. I want to drop the subframe, get it all out, degrease it, wash it, sand it all down, and paint it, make it look brand new like this front one. Which I don't know if you guys can even see. Yeah, you guys can see somewhat. So that's the plan. So let's start the Huracan and get it out of here. You didn't see that. I did an exhaust on this car. It is amazing. I will never get tired of that. That thing sounds so good. Let's get you a cold startup on this four-wheeler. I just put a strap on there. It's not like super tight or nothing. I don't want to like pull it. I just want, if it's gonna go, to catch it. I got it underneath, so it's pulling down. It'll keep this front down. As I'm sitting there screwing around in the back, I don't have to worry about this thing standing up on me. All right, boys. Let's start getting this rear subframe out. You're gonna wanna get the brake calipers off. I'm gonna leave coilovers connected to the car. Just disconnect them right here. You gotta disconnect your drive shaft. You gotta disconnect the emergency brake. Then you just have 4 bolts. That bolt, that bolt, that bolt, and that bolt. And then the whole diff will come down with the subframe. I'll probably have to get these exhaust tips off. Okay, drive shaft is a 12 and a 14. Oh yeah, and I upgraded my drive shaft to a 2-piece. So I only got 1 carrier bearing. You gotta get this carrier bearing out after you disconnect it from the diff. And then obviously you'd usually pull out your transfer case. Even if you still have your engine in, you can do everything I'm doing. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say here. Okay, I didn't record it. It was whooping my ass, to be honest with you, to get that exhaust tip out. I soaked these in WD, trying to slide the rubber grommet off, but I ended up just having to take it off the body. Same thing here, I could not get this rubber grommet to come off. I just ended up taking the bolts out. This is gonna be a bad idea to even do this. I mean, I'm gonna do it, but if you've watched any of my videos, none of this is gonna stay. This is gonna be a whole project. I'm gonna take off all these brackets, sand them down, paint them. I'm gonna end up wanting to paint this body now. There's bumper support. Rear bumper is gonna have to come off so I can get this out, sand that down and paint it. So this whole like a 2-day project, dropping the subframe, sanding it down, paint it, putting it back in, just turned into a lot more. All right, let's get these coilovers off. They're 17. You just gotta disconnect them from the bottom. I'm gonna leave them connected to the car. I have to get the ABS sensor out, because that's connected to the car. Even though I don't have ABS anymore, I still have the back ones on because I didn't want just a hole in that hub to get a bunch of dirt and stuff in there. I could probably get a plate or something to block that off. I don't know. And I gotta take the emergency brake apart somehow. I still don't know how I'm gonna do that yet. I don't know which way's the easiest way to get that wire out of there. Let's get these calipers off. I will probably zip tie them to the coilover just to keep them on the car but out of my way. This is gonna take forever. I gotta disconnect this one and this one. I need all these wires disconnected from this arm. This whole arm's coming out. So this one, and then this whole caliper gonna sit up here. I'll bring it back. All right, real quick, if you guys are doing this, once I got it all disconnected from there, I'm gonna put it all back together so it doesn't leak all over the place, you know what I mean? If you leave this open, it'll eventually just drain pretty much all your brake fluid. Okay, right there. All right, you gotta get this rotor off to get to the emergency brake. You gotta get this all out. You'll take this pin out of this corner, and then I took the whole shoe off. It's just like a throttle cable or whatever. I did a video on how to do these shoes, I believe, a few years ago when I did it. Plenty of videos on how to do like brake shoes for drums. So it's the same thing as like a drum brake, your emergency brake on this car. So I'm not really gonna explain that to you guys. All right, did the same thing over on this side. I'm pretty sure I'm free. Pretty sure I already said this, but we're gonna have this bolt. There's only 4 bolts. Well, this bracket's got another bolt, so 6 bolts, but those are actually nuts. I'm wrong about everything today. But yeah, so the subframe will come out with this mount, this mount, this mount, and this mount. The whole rear will come out. I'm leaving the rear diff in, and it should all fall down together. All right, so we're gonna put the jack stands down, and then lower this on the jack stands, take those nuts out, and then raise the car.
That one's smaller.
No shit. Man, dude, your son has just been one-upping the fuck out of you. Filming, the way he places jack stand. Man, you're getting old.
It was my jack stand idea. What are you talking about?
His jack stand, he's got his arm on the other side so it didn't hit the gun. It's time for you to come down from the throne, bud.
That's
getting
good.
old.
I'm fine with that. I'm gonna take credit for the jack stand placement being perfect.
I mean, whoever put the one over here did pretty good. I'm leaving all this in so they can listen to you whine and complain.
I don't care. I don't see them here helping you, so shut up.
They help out in the comments. Alright, if I didn't screw anything up, should go up.
Is that side clear?
Yeah. Alright, well, I need diff bushings for sure. I already got poly bushings everywhere. And I got new arms. And the rear steering delete. These are what I could not get apart. These bolts, I was scared I was gonna break them. I remember that. I could not get these to come loose. Alright, so these bottom camber adjuster doohickey bobbers, they need new bushings in there too. And then these are new axles, even though they look like they're 18 years old. It'll be a second-year world, but I'll probably start seeing this tomorrow. Alright, boys, back out here. I don't really know where I left off yesterday. Subframe's out. I'm gonna sand this all down. Pressure wash it for sure. I gotta get this diff out. I was gonna take it all apart right here and then wash it, but this diff needs sprayed down anyways, which I don't even know if I'm gonna reuse this diff. I need to find something to see if they can rebuild it. So I'm gonna pressure wash and degrease the whole thing all at once, and then I'll start taking it apart. So I just squirted it all down with this WD-40 degreaser. It's like an all natural. I like bought it on accident or something one time. Didn't think it was gonna work. Supposedly you can eat it. And this works better than any other degreaser I've ever used. I was thinking about using brake cleaner, but if brake cleaner gets on these, I don't know what it'll do. If it'll eat some of this or not. It probably just wouldn't, but I just don't want to risk it. So everything's soaked in this pretty much. And I'm gonna hit it with a pressure washer. Alright, top came out pretty good. I ended up switching to the like just a straight point on the pressure washer and got a lot of that rust off. Okay, boys, been sitting out here for a little bit, drying up. Got all the grease off pretty much. There's no grease anymore. I'm gonna try to take a wire wheel to it, see how good it does. If not, I'm gonna use like one of those flat paddles. So I'm pretty much just sitting here screwing around, seeing what works best. I mean, that flappy wheel, or whatever you call it, sanding pad. I mean, it's 40 grit. It's a little aggressive, but that's gonna work in like the big places. I still gotta take all this apart so I can get this out of the way. I gotta get this all done. These brackets and stuff I can take to my buddy and put them in a sandblaster. This is pretty much as far as I've gotten. I got the sway bar out. It started pouring down rain there, and I still gotta get all up in there. All these little spots are gonna be hard to hit with a flappy wheel, even though it's working the best. So it's pretty much just sitting here with the wire wheel forever. Should probably purchase a sandblaster, huh? Like one of those ones that you use outside, like acorn shells, so it's like good for the environment or whatever the hippies like you to do. But alright, I'm just gonna get back to grinding this. There's no point in me recording me grind the whole thing. Alright, boys, back out here. Adrian came over last night. Got the rear diff out. If you don't know how to take the rear diff out, you got 3 bolts on the back of the diff that hold it to the bracket. Then you can either take these 6 bolts out on either side, or you can take these 2 bolts out of the bracket themselves. They're right there. Same thing on the back. You got those 2 that you can take out. I mean, if you're watching my channel, I'm sure you know you can figure out how to take a diff out. You could either take these out and remove this whole bracket. I left it in there for right now because I pretty much need to put an impact on there, and I couldn't get an impact in there with the diff still in there. See, this is why it's hard for me to put out multiple videos a week. I know there's like a good chunk of you guys that want me to put out like 3 videos a week or at least 2 videos a week. But up until this point, what would this video be? I mean, I guess I could have ended it when I dropped the subframe, the video just on how to remove your subframe. And then I could have done another video on sanding, but put it all in one video for you guys. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna keep doing today. I'm gonna keep sanding. And then I'll go over all these little hard to reach areas with a wire wheel. And then I'm just gonna scuff this whole thing up with a Brillo pad, primer it, and paint it. That's the plan. Plus, I gotta get this apart. See if I can get ball joints for these. Well, I've now been caught in the rain 3 times. This thing was pretty much perfect. I've never seen something flash for us this fast. But whatever, I mean, most of that will come off with a Brillo pad. It's just raining off and on all day today. I guess I'm just gonna keep trying to take this apart. I'm gonna try to get these arms out. Pretty sure I already said this once to you guys. Last time, me and my other buddy took this subframe apart, we could not get these apart, and we decided just to leave them alone because I didn't want to break them, but I'm gonna get them out. If I break them, I break them. It's a 24 here. See if I can get this to drop, and then I'll take these off. All right, I got this one out. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to find new, I don't know what the word is for these, but they like help adjust the camber. You know, they're like the oval thing, because this one just rounded out. This shouldn't spin around on that. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but you see how it's flat in one spot? That's where the flat spot should stay. And now this whole thing's rounded, which I'm pretty sure Adrian's got more of these. I'll steal some more parts from him if I need them. Right, Adrian? He's not even here to tell me no, but I'm already making him commit to giving me parts. Hey, well, it's been soaking in PB Blaster for a good hour. I might throw some heat on this. I'm gonna do a mixture of PB Blaster and transmission fluid on this for at least an hour. Kind of stopped raining, and then finish sanding. And then oh shit. All right, now that I just spilled transmission fluid all over the camera, I'll bring you back. I'll bring you back here in a little bit. It's done raining. I'm gonna wipe this all dry and finish sanding. This weather is driving me up a wall like clockwork, and now it's done. About every 30 to 40 minutes, it starts raining. Just straight up downpours and then stops. So by the time I get everything brought back inside, it's done raining. I pretty much got it good. I mean, there's gonna be a bunch of little stuff I'm gonna have to get by hand, but most of it I'm just gonna hit with a Brillo pad, scuff it all up real nice, make sure there's no grease, no oil, no nothing on it, and primer it and paint it, which I actually might not be able to get diff bushings anytime soon, so I might actually send this whole thing off to a powder coater. But then it's not gonna match the back, and that's gonna drive me nuts, or the front, and that's gonna drive me nuts. And for me to pull out the front, I'm gonna have to pull out all my steering and everything. It's never ending. Let me see if it's broke loose at all. Dude, this head mount's covered in transmission fluid. I really don't wanna put you guys back in my head. I'll bring you back. I'm gonna keep going back and forth, trying to loosen this up. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna put some heat to it. And I just found out the best thing about the table. Since I can jack it up and move it, see right there until this thing's red hot. You know, it'd be nice if the nut was on the outside and I could hit the nut with an impact. I bet you that's not how it's supposed to be from the factory. I bet you the nut is on the outside. Oh, this came straight loose after that one. Look at that. It's the hottest I've ever gotten a nut, ever. And now it just comes right off. I still can't get that out. I got the nuts off, but that whole thing is like seized inside the joint. This one, it's ready to fall off, honestly. Got one side out. So the problem with the other one is that that nut or that bolt is seized into this metal, but the rubber is completely done over there. It's just spinning in place. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell on camera, but the whole like rubber inside is just turning. Just let it soak, start taking the other side apart. Arm off and this lower ball joint. I don't know if these ball joints come out. I might have to buy this whole arm somewhere, I don't know. It's got this whole one side apart. Took the adjustable camber arm off. This lower arm, I definitely need a new ball joint. I tore it, taking it apart. It's clapped out anyways. Alright boys, back out here. I honestly don't know where I left off because the past 3 days I've been sanding this subframe. And I'm sure there's gonna be like a bunch of you that are like, dude, it took you 3 days to sand this. I kept getting caught in the rain. It would just start like downpouring for like 45 minutes at a time. So I'd be able to work for like 30 minutes at a time outside and then rain and bring it back in. It's just been a slow process. I might have some of that footage. You might have already seen it. If not, I'll just explain it. I found that the trailing arm, you know, moves back and forth with like one of those, it's like a camber bolt. It's got like one of these, like oval bolts on it so you can move the camber in there. One side, the oval's broke on it, so it was just spinning, so it could just move like this. The other side, the rubber is completely gone in there, and so this whole arm could just move freely pretty much. So I'm taking this all apart now, because regardless, I need new bushings for these trailing arms. But I've talked to now 2 people that since I don't have rear steer anymore, I don't need this thing to turn. So if I can get someone to find me like a Heim joint that's the same exact size as this one, and then just cut these flush right here, I can just get a pipe. Like if someone just puts this in a jig, I'm gonna try to do the best I can to explain what needs to be done. So like if you put this on a table and you like bolt this side down to like a table, and then you bolt this side down, you can cut this here and cut this here, and then just weld a pipe and have it meet there. And then I can get like a threaded in piece of pipe, and I can just get like universal Heim joints. I'll throw up a picture right now of what I'm talking about. Instead of having this massive chunk of steel, that'll literally save me probably 15 pounds a side, and I don't have rear steer, so the Heim joint doesn't need to move like this anymore to turn the wheel. So instead of just sanding this and painting it like my original plan was and replacing the ball joints, I think I'm just gonna pull all these bushings out and send this off to a powder coater, because it's already all in pieces now. This was not the plan at all. After sanding it for probably 2 days, I went to take the lower control arms off, and I noticed that the one side just moved, and that's when I seen that the bolt was messed up. I came over to the other side, and I went to take this bolt out, and the whole rubber piece just, I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Right there, you see that rubber? The whole rubber just moves. It's not connected to the Heim joint anymore. I gotta cut this bolt too, I can't get it out. It's been soaking, I still can't get it. I already took all the other stuff apart. It's really simple. I don't know if I recorded any of that. You know, I got the adjustable upper control arms. You'll disconnect this ball joint from the top of the knuckle, and then this Heim joint part goes in here at the top of the subframe. You'll disconnect it there. And pretty much same thing on the bottom. Ball joint on the bottom of the knuckle, and it connects right there. So you just take that apart, and then you got the one that I'm dealing with over there to get that big ball joint, Heim joint, whatever you want to call it. I gotta try to find ball joints because I messed up both of these getting them apart. This one's, they're both clapped. This one's not that bad. This one's clapped out. So I definitely need 2 ball joints. And then I need to find, this is the bolts that I'm talking about. They're like an oval washer in there. This one comes off. This one's like welded to the bolt so it doesn't come out. And this is what's messed up on the one. I pretty much need to find all 4 of them. There's ones here, and then one's obviously camber. It's the lower camber bolt on the control arm. This one, I guess, would be toe, but it just moves it forward and backwards, which doesn't really make sense to me, because what's in there just moves it forward and backwards. It makes the wheel move like this. If you've been here for a while, every time I would shift, there'd be like a little clunk in the rear end, and I constantly thought something was wrong with my diff. And I don't think anything's wrong with my diff. I think every time I shifted, it would change the toe or whatever that big trailing arm adjustment moves. And that's why sometimes when I was like on it would kind of like want to dog walk the rear end. So I thought I just needed to get it to the alignment shop, but obviously at least this side was completely fried out because the rubber's just done in there. That whole arm just moves. Like this should not just move freely forward and backwards like that. See how much room that bolt has in there to move? That's for real like an inch. And this side, it would just move whenever it felt like moving. So every time I'd shift, this thing probably just moved like that. I mean, not as dramatic because the bolt was still tight, but still. So that's where I'm at. I feel like I've done a horrible job recording this video. I planned on having it all one video. I planned on me pulling the subframe, sanding it, painting it, replacing ball joints, and putting it back in all in the same video, but you guys know how it is, especially working on these cars. If it's not one thing, it's another. Everything you touch, you just open up a can of worms. It's just snowball effect. So that's where I'm at. I think I'm gonna end the video here. And the next one, I should be taking this to powder coater.
I'm willing to die for this shit. I'm ready to flip and end up in prison the rest of my life for this shit. So my mama ain't want me, she got in a bush and I end up surviving this shit. And if I want a son, I ain't got the money, I'll probably be robbing this shit. Don't know how much I cry for this shit. Said I'm willing to ride for this shit.